This is Opinions Heard. Today we are here with our special guest, Lindsay.
Hello.
Hello, Lindsay. She is substituting for our Brittany Badass, who is still in
New York City.
the lovely New York. And she is of good stock. She's actually a friend of mine and Brittany Badass. We used to be in the same prison. That is known as employment at a job that we didn't necessarily appreciate.
Yes.
But it paid a bill.
Okay.
So today's topic is homelessness. We actually are doing this from Los Angeles, California, which has a huge homeless population.
Well, I'm looking something up which is quite interesting. Homelessness in the United States by state. Number 1 is Alabama, your hometown, your home state.
Wow.
2 is Arkansas. 3 is California, with a breakdown of counties. Just so you know, LA County is the number 1 county.
Alabama?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure?
Where is homelessness the most common in the United States? Number 1, Alabama. 2, Arkansas. 3, California. And then 3, California, they break it down. Los Angeles. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I did not know that.
I know.
And 4 is Colorado. So
Colorado?
I wouldn't suspect that.
Really?
Where is New York?
New York is not even in the top 8. Let's look at more items.
Girl, when was this consensus taken now? It's 1950s. Girl, what?
New York is like way at the bottom. I lost count. Let's see.
Oh,
Or maybe it's not ranked. Maybe it's just 1, 2. It says homelessness in the United States by state.
It was at this moment she knew she had really messed up.
Oh, okay. It's alphabetized. Oops.
Oh, I was I'm like, wait a minute. Alabama?
Most state with most homelessness. Anyways.
Now you like New York? And you're like New York is not even on the list. I'm like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? I mean, I was like, don't they have a whole underground thing, child?
Right.
You,
That's what happens when you don't do your research. Carry on.
yeah.
I was like, I was like, wait a minute, Arkansas? What?
You know, I'm like, I was like, that's from 1950.
Oh, it's a map. California is definitely the darkest one. Texas is highlighted. Maryland, I think that's New York. Yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense.
Well, thank you for that groundbreaking.
Anytime.
You know, thank you, Barbara Walters. You know, watch out, Gail.
She's coming for you, Gail.
You know,
All right, I know my stuff.
you. You're like, New York is not even on there. I'm like, what?
Wait. We need a recount.
Okay, so we have cleared up that there's homelessness in all the states, pretty much. But in LA, there's a large homeless population.
In 2017, California was ranked the state with the highest homelessness.
Yeah, I
Which
can.
makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it pretty much does. I mean, because we'll probably get back on this, but I sort of touched bases. When I was in my 20s and I moved out here, out of stupidity, naivete, the word of the day, just really badass luck, I pretty much ended up being homeless for some time. And I just know that it was just like all of us was like stepping off the bus at Greyhound. You know, with stars in our eyes.
Right.
And a little bit of money in our pocket. It was just so cliche. I had like $100 in my pocket. By the time I came across them from Alabama to here, I had like maybe $80 left. But that is a long trip.
Oof.
It is a long trip. Texas is too damn big.
So I hear.
It is too
Does it
big.
take like a week to get through Texas?
It took forever to get through Texas on Greyhound.
Yeah.
I thought I had accidentally went to sleep and we were on our way back. I was like, are we? I was like, I was like, where in the hell are we? Jesus Christ. I was like, yeah, Texas is too big. And it is hot. I came out like in May. I didn't know it was possible for heat to do that and the body not to incinerate immediately.
You're on a Greyhound. Oh.
Yeah. The ride was actually pretty cool. It was just a trip. Yeah, so I mean, we can come back to that to a little bit later, but yeah, I can get why everyone sort of comes to New York. Not New York. I'm sorry, to LA. It's just that, especially like 20 years ago when I moved out here, you just still sort of had that mythos about everything is made of gold, and
Right.
Maybe I will do like Doris Day. No, Grace Kelly. Lana Turner. One of them.
Keep going down.
Lana Turner, and I'll be at Rite Aid, and I'll be discovered. So you just sort of still had that then, and that was before social media, where people are like, no child, this is what LA looks like.
Right.
But
Even now with social media, it's not broadcasted. You really don't see the extent of homelessness unless you are walking down the street and you're stepping over someone who is in a tent, because that's all they can afford. That was what they spent their last $40 on.
Yeah.
Social media, it's like, oh, I'm at the Abbey, I'm at One Oak, I'm at Robertson, I'm on Rodeo. You're living this glamorous life, but really all you people are doing is just taking pictures of these hot spots, these tourist areas. That's it.
Yeah, because I know in the hotels that we worked in, you would have some of the tourists that would come in, and they're like, it's a lot of homeless people. And you're like, well, yeah, I mean, you're in, it's like, what, the second largest economy, in the country, and a lot of people do not make it, and it's expensive also. Because I can imagine what the homeless population is like in San Francisco.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where it is, I mean, rent is ridiculous here, but I'm like in San Francisco where it is just, they showed on the news where this house was for sale. When I say it was, obviously people, you all cannot see how I got my hands outstretched.
No shit, Sherlock.
But my hands are maybe like, it was like this. And the house was in between, and it was like $2-point-something million.
Was this the one that was like a full demo, and it was you're really paying for the view, and there was like old dishes still scattered in the kitchen?
It was like some dishes. I think they even showed a refrigerator that looked like something that, not a refrigerator, a stove that looked like something my grandmother used to have when I was little. I mean, I'm like, that is that much money?
I read that the poverty level in the Bay Area, 170 grand, that's considered the poverty level in the Bay Area.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
CEOs of companies are having to live in shared housing because they also can't really afford the expense to live. Like, this is a problem. This is a huge problem.
Oh, it's huge.
And it's getting worse. I mean,
Yeah.
I would say maybe over the past 5 years or so, I've seen like the rate of homelessness skyrocket in areas where, there used to not be homeless. It's like there's homeless camps everywhere now.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned, well, I heard that I guess we have more lax laws about homelessness or something like that, where I guess in other states, I don't know exactly what it is. That's what I had planned to do research on, but never got around to. But somehow, some way, I mean, besides LA having, Southern California having like the nicest weather, I guess we're more lax when it comes to the homelessness.
Yeah, we don't criminalize sleeping on a bus bench or a park bench. Whereas in other states and even other cities, they'll get tickets. And then they just keep racking up tickets, and you keep giving homeless people tickets because they have nowhere to live, and then you have to arrest them because they have so many outstanding tickets.
Also, because I remember when I moved from Alabama, there were few homeless people that you would see, but I mean, very just sprinkled here and there. This is maybe 93. And I think probably part of it was one, the cost of living was a little lower, so some people could afford it. A lot of people there, usually if you were there, you had family members, so maybe if you hadn't really burned your bridges, they would let you come there just either out of love or to save face. Your brother is like living on the park bench, and you're like, oh my God, I can't let anybody know that about, so you would go, you'll do it to save face, or like I said, out of love. Here, I think, when I moved here, I know I moved here supposed to stay with someone that didn't work out. It just turned into this whole nightmare. I ended up back. I didn't know where I was going. So people were like, go to Skid Row. And I was like, where's that? And they were like, it's downtown. And I was like, okay. So I went to Skid Row and they dropped me off at the LA Mission. And I screamed to the top of my lungs. I fled out of there. And I went back to the Greyhound bus station that has a lot of homeless people too. So the two things, or a few things I had going for me. One, I was young. Two, I just left college, the University of Alabama. So I looked like a college student. And I wasn't drinking at the time. Or I wasn't doing drugs. I wasn't just out of jail or anything. So I looked like a young 22-year-old. So when security would come up to me and say, what are you doing? I said, oh, well, I'm waiting for the bus to go to San Francisco, or I'm waiting to go here, or something like that. And they'll sort of leave me alone. Oh, well, when is your next bus? Oh, it's going to be like 5 hours. So then, I just sort of go to sleep there. And that was it. So I was able to get away with it that way. And then if they even would test me on it, oh, you're in college, huh? Yeah, and so they'll ask me something, then I would say something. I would be like, oh, yes, the descending aorta, 207 bones in the body, la 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 la, just sort of throw some crap up, Epicycles, Australopithecus afarensis.
Show off. Yes, yes, yes. We know your old ass is smart, but not smart enough to stay off the streets. Just saying.
Get away from me, guys. Just say something to get them to go away from me so that they can sort of say that, okay, well, if you are lying, you're doing good, And then I would sort of leave during the daytime, and you would just see so many people that were just homeless. And I remember when I went through my little money, I was in Skid Row. Didn't want to do Skid Row. And I'll admit, I didn't want to do the food lines. I was like, I am not standing in a food line. How dare you? I am. My last name is so-and-so, so-and-so. I will not do this. Child, the third day.
Your stomach was rumbling.
The third day of no eating, I was
Right there
looking.
in that line.
Yes, I was. I was forming the lines. I was like,
Everybody goes over here.
get it back at me. So. So, and I remember I was like, okay, well, what do I want to do? I didn't know what to do, so I didn't know where I was at, and so I went to Hollywood. And I think I sort of mentioned to you, the only thing I recognized was that Capitol Records, the little circle thing, and that was it. I had no idea what I thought. I thought that the Hollywood sign was in front and Hollywood was in back of the Hollywood sign. You know what I mean? I just didn't know what to think. Like when you would have said Burbank to me, I was like, what's that? Or like where Paramount Studios is at. I just thought that it was this whole 90210 thing was in my mind, of Melrose Place. I think I mentioned that to you. I fell into that cliche of being young and homeless in Hollywood, and people saw it, and the wrong people saw it, and they pounced on it, tried to get me into that whole life of doing that, especially, which I had told you all, I'm gay.
Duh. Really? never knew.
So it worked perfectly in their thing, and my look was tall, I'm hairy, so I could sort of do certain things,
Look like the Black Ken doll.
So so they were pushing me both ways, and so it just would made it, I guess I was profitable in a sense. I didn't want to do that. I got hurt really, really, really bad, and I fled back to Skid Row. I limped back to Skid Row.
They didn't get you caught up in drugs. That's good.
Well, no, I didn't do the drugs. I had seen, because in Skid Row and just in other places, I just sort of seen people sort of doing the whole drug things where they were putting the drugs. And I saw that movie with Robert Downey Jr., Less Than Zero. Do you ever see that movie?
Mm-mm.
Less Than Zero? Oh my God, you got to see that movie. You ever see it?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm like, oh my God, is that Hollywood? Oh, and in college, I did a book. I did a compare and contrast about Less Than Zero and Madame Bovary.
Oh.
Yeah, it didn't turn out that well. The concept was good, but the follow through, I thought that it would be a little bit better. Ugh, college. Ugh.
Yes.
Here's a headline: California homelessness is so out of control, people are turning to boats. Damned are clueless. I'm not even going to continue this article.
Well, I know so many people are, and even the definition of what homelessness is now. So many people are living in their cars now.
Right.
Like you said, maybe on their boat or campers. Because there was an individual that we worked with that was in a similar situation that worked full-time job, but was actually homeless and lived somewhere.
Yeah.
Camper or something like that.
Yeah.
It's scary, and from my understanding, is other parts in the U.S. are not, all parts of the U.S. are just getting increasingly bad in terms of affordability, and it's scary because I think the average American is just living paycheck to paycheck, like 1 or 2 paychecks away from homelessness.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, the socio-economical status of how everything is just sort of progressing, even back when I was in my 20s and on up, it was the stress and the pressure that's put on what is left behind, the legacy that's left behind. Not too much is left behind anymore because there is nothing. You have to use those resources up, I think, really at that time, where people say, oh, well, I got this and that. It's like, no, you just don't have that anymore because of either health, because not medication, healthcare. I mean, it's so expensive now. I think it's always been expensive, but it's so expensive. Mm-hmm. We live longer, but I've only got this from a few people. I'm a military brat. I kind of saw what the military did for my dad and my cousins. But when I got here, I noticed that from the outside looking in and from what people were telling me, they didn't really do that much for the veterans. Mm-hmm. They would go and fight and come back, and they just would lose everything. Now, there was a few people that would go to the VA hospital. They would be homeless, and they would go to the VA hospital and stay. And the VA would take them with open arms, but I would remember them sort of saying that is kind of an anomaly. It doesn't happen all the time. So I think with that, and then mental adds to the part of being homeless also.
Oh, it certainly does. Even just people being able to access different resources. If your mental health isn't stable, you're not able to access those resources that are available to you. And working in community mental health, I see it every day. And it is absolutely devastating to see how many people are homeless because of their mental health. Yeah. And how it just completely decimates their life, and it goes back to healthcare being so expensive, and those resources aren't really available for people who don't have jobs or who have lost their jobs because of their mental health. It's just a cycle, a vicious cycle that as a society we really need to figure out how we can improve, because it's only going to get worse.
I heard, we had programs in place under until the Reagan administration that took better care of people with mental health problems, and apparently Reagan did away with it, and then that that was the start of the skyrocketing of the the homelessness problem. It's just, for me, I'm trying to figure out what's been going on in the past 5 to 10 years that's making this exponential amount of homelessness occur, at least in this state. I don't know if it's just exclusive to states with the highest cost of living, or if this is just a nationwide problem. I don't know, but it's disturbing.
I know when I was there, they did have programs here that would sort of help. They had a thing called GR, or General Relief. And I remember when I was there, they was like, oh, you need to go to the county building and apply for GR. And I was like, what is that? And they were telling me, and I was looking at them like they were crazy. I was like, they're going to give me money. Now, it's not a lot of money. At the time, I think it was $212.
It's $221 now.
Oh, the $221?
Every month, or what, every week?
Every month.
Oh, girl, please, what?
What's that gonna do?
Every week?
Right. And then if you are able to get a job after, you have to pay this back.
Yeah.
It's not
That's
free money.
It's not free money.
Yeah.
And then the food stamps also at the time, that was, when I was there, that they didn't have it on the card. They gave you the paper money, So I know, and then they had SROs where you could live and you can get vouchers.
What's SRO?
Single room occupancy, I think. And they'll give you a voucher where you can stay there or you can stay downtown. Now, the complexion of downtown LA 20 years later is very different from what it was when I was down there in the 90s. It was pretty, but it needed a very good dusting off.
Oh, now it needs a power washing, a scrub, the whole nine.
Because it was just saturated with homeless people from the park, to like Broadway and on down, which goes to San Pedro. Now it's a little bit different, the complexion of it. Antonio Villaraigosa, he said that he was going to change downtown, and he really did. So it looks really nice now. But at the time, those hotels that are now sort of these high-rises and stuff, they were just saturated with homeless people, where you would just sort of stay there, get a room, or they'll give you the county would give you a voucher for you to stay. You would just sort of stay there. But one of the things also is when you did get GR, you had to go and work. So you had to go, like people you would see cleaning the streets or in the parks or out on the beach. You would do that, and you had to do it for a certain amount of time. If you didn't do it, you would get suspended for that whole month, and you wouldn't get any money. So you had to, so it's a cycle.
So you would have to work, but then they would deduct the GR from the amount of money that you would make working.
Basically, that I don't know.
Okay.
But you had to do something for the county in a sense, clean up the parks, clean up the beaches, clean up the streets. Like go to the county hospital, clean up paper and stuff.
Yeah, this is more so like community service, almost like you're paying for your GR through your service to the community, but you don't actually have to physically pay it back until you get a job. Like if you get a job at McDonald's, then they expect you to pay that back.
Yeah. And then the job that you were doing for, let's say, to work community service, it wasn't like you were working there for 5-10 hours. You would do like for 4 hours every other day. You had maybe 2 weeks to do it. If you didn't do it, then you were penalized. Now, to the county's thing, a lot of people did try to get out of it. If you knew who to go to, you can have them sign the paper for you, because you just have them, the foreman or the manager that's there would sign it and do it. Because I remember I was sort of looking for a job, and I hadn't really healed from when I got hurt when I was in Hollywood, but they didn't really care. Well, I mean, they cared, but it was like, you still got to try to do it. And so I got out of it by, 20 years, okay. The statute of limitations. Before I go any further, okay, I'm sure the statute of limitations has passed. I've contributed to LA since then. Certain things you can sort of do to have them sort of sign it, or you can go to a doctor and have a doctor sort of give you a thing. A lot of people would use that. Even with the food stamps, I was on the street, so I really couldn't use the food stamps. So, it's been 20 years, so I can say this now. I would sell the food stamps. You get so much on a dollar. You get I think you used to get $150 in food stamps. You walk out of the check cashing place, so you wanted to sell your food stamps out of $150. They give you $90, $95, something like that.
Or at the check cashing place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that's where you would go to get your GR.
I'm sure that doesn't happen anymore. That doesn't take place.
I don't know how they do
I think that's
that
why they
now.
Oh, that's
put
why
it
they
on
rolled out the cards.
But you can still kind of, I believe, finagle your way. I mean, you're gonna find a way. You're gonna find a way. That's just what it is.
I'm not saying anyone should do it.
No.
None
And
of us would ever do
I
something.
was told how to do it. It wasn't like I came up with it. One of the things when I was in Skid Row for so long, you would go like from mission to mission, like eating or trying to get a bed or something, because there was a place they call it the electric chairs. If you couldn't get in to get a bed, they would let you sit on their patio. And you know those chairs that people have, those like plastic white chairs that people have out on their patios and stuff. You know, you probably get them from Kmart.
Lawn chairs? Okay.
Yeah. So they would have them there, and I didn't know why they would call electric chairs. And so you would sort of have your bags and stuff, and you'll sit down, and you like
Everything to you.
wrap everything around you and stuff. The next morning when you woke up, you're in the chair, and when you move, you're like, you're like, what in the hell? I can't move. What has happened? So it's like you've been electrocuted because you're just sort of like frozen, and I'm like, oh, this is why they call them electric chairs.
Because it's the cold in the middle of the night and all that.
Well, that and if you went into sleep in that chair right there for 8 hours,
Yeah.
and you got up and you tried to move, you're not going to be singing "Good morning, good morning." You're gonna be like, what in the hell?
My back,
My
hip,
back,
leg.
my leg. So it was.
Despite all of that, you were like, I am not going to call my parents and ask them to get me a ticket to get back to Alabama. I refuse.
No. Now, at that time, they also had a program to where if you sort of decided that you could not do this is not what I thought it would be. They had a program where they would pay like 30% of your bus ticket home, and they would call a family member
That's
to see if the
interesting.
family member would foot the rest of the bill. And they were sort of telling, they was like, okay, look, your child, son, daughter, whatever, is in Skid Row. And they were sort of like telling how bad it is. You're going to get a phone, the next phone call you might get would be for you to come identify the body. And usually, depending on why you came here or why you fled or whatever, sometimes the family member would be like, okay, we'll send that. Usually, maybe it was a little bit more. Maybe it was like 60. I think maybe they paid a little bit more and the family member paid a little bit less. They paid a little bit less, I think. That they sort of sweetened the pot. They sweetened the pot a little bit. Because, family member, I ain't gonna send no money. I didn't tell them to leave. So they was like, look, pay 20% of the damn ticket for them to come back home. It's either that or pay for the damn funeral, something like that. I don't think they do it now because I don't think the county, because this was like, I don't know if this was a nonprofit organization or something like that. It was like, I can't deal with this shit. Because, you were always in line trying to get food, and then you were like and then if you got a bed, and it was a lottery, and you were you were going into bed like at 4 p.m. You were going there, you had to take a shower, you watched TV in the community center, went to bed, and then you had to get up at 5 a.m. and they'll kick you out. And so they'll give you like a donut and coffee, they'll give you your bags and stuff, and then you will like go to the midnight mission. They'll open up, you'll sit down there, and there was this couch, oh my God. Like a couch or a chair that's so comfortable. Maybe it's in a lobby or maybe it's at your grandmother's or something where you just sit in that thing, and the next thing you know, you are just like out. There was this, that thing looked like Godzilla ate it. But it was so damn comfortable. Mm-hmm. As soon as you sat down, you were out. I had my shades on again. I had my bag, and I wrapped myself up in it. So when nobody steal my shit, And then I would go to sleep. So you would get up, and then you would go like to the LA mission, and they would feed you, but you would have to go through a church service. They would sometimes hold your bags and stuff, so that you're not pushing buggies.
Mm-hmm.
When you push buggies, that was kind of considered kind of bad at the time. I never pushed buggies. I slung some bags,
But didn't push
You
that
never,
button.
you never push a shopping cart.
I never put your shopping cart. I was upper class homeless, thank you. I was upper class homeless. I slung the hell out of some damn Glad trash bags, so I would tell you that. And then there was hold your stuff, and then, you know, you would have to come and get it after a certain time. If you didn't, you would lose it, and they would keep it. And then you will just start the cycle again. And what happens, you get into the loop of just doing that. And then the next thing, you know, because I remember, because when I started, I was a really big guy when I moved in. And in like a month, I lost like maybe 100 pounds. And the next thing I know, I was just this little skinny thing. It's not like prison, but it's almost kind of like prison, to where people who are like in prison, you get with someone that's going to protect you or whatever.
Yeah.
So the homeless thing is sort of like that. You get with someone OG who's been there. They know what to do. They know where to go. They know what to say and all like that. I remember some people were sort of helping me, and they were sort of saying, you know, you're getting in the cycle. You're used to the cycle of the homeless thing, and you're okay with it. And if you don't, you're going to be that person. And you look, and you know, you're like, what the?
Startles you.
Yeah, and it startles you, and so you're like, okay, I got to try to do something. And so I remember two things. People used to tell me about the rain in California. I know that's kind of like an awesome, like, what, really? They used to tell me how it would rain like for 2 weeks straight, and I'm like, what? I can't have it rain for 2 weeks straight. What the hell am I gonna do? You know, so that scared the hell out of me. And then one time I couldn't get a place, so I had to go and sleep at the railroad track by what they called the LA River. LA River, you know, damn river. Cement shit. Have you seen that shit? Call that a river? Ain't no damn river. I was like, look, the Mississippi and the Alabama River is a river.
I wonder if it's dried out by now, because we did have some downpour earlier in the year.
Always.
I was wondering, I was like, do we have a real river now? I was like,
It's probably the Great Lakes now.
In the river.
oh, okay, so we have. So
People
it
were
actually-
on floaties,
Really?
like pool floats, in the LA River. I'm like, and they were trying to tell people, don't do that. Like, there's needles. It's, you know, it's not. You shouldn't be. It's not safe to swim in. This isn't, you know, this is not the pool at the Bel Air Bay Club, you guys. Please.
In their little canoes, like.
They're so excited. We actually have a river.
Got their little drink floats, and they're on the flamingo, just kicking.
Oh, flamingo.
Yes, they were on the flamingo. It was a double one too, so there was two of them on it. Like, ugh.
Well, at the time it wasn't raining, and they called that a river. I remember they pointed out. I was like, a river where? You know, like I said, I'm from Alabama. I was baptized in the name of getting back. That's how I was. Hallelujah.
Hope you do it.
So they had a cycle.
Yeah, it's just that loop you
Do
sort
you
of get
remember how
stuck
long
in.
you were in that like loop stage?
Close to maybe like a year
Oh, that's a long time.
before I was like, okay, I gotta sort of get out of this. I was just wasting away to nothing. I mean, and you don't starve if they do feed you. And I remember some people came in one time. We were like, they had a party, and the guy drove up to us, and he was like, I have food. He was like, but I'm not going to give it to you now. I'm going to drive up the street. You all wait, and I'm going to put it on the sidewalk, and you all come and get it. And so we went and got it, and we're just like eating it, and it was a mirror, and I looked at myself. I was like, what in the fuck am I doing? And so then that sort of helped me sort of kind of get out of it. And then some people who were, you know, they were going through their own stuff too. You know, a lot of them were crackheads and all like that. But in the end, they were good people. They were like, look, you don't do drugs, you don't do this. Eventually you are if you continue to stay down here.
Yeah.
There's this place called Chrysalis that is kind of like a Apple One for the homeless. And you can use their address, you can use their phones, you can, if you needed a resume, you can do your resume on the thing. They'll sort of teach you stuff. Let's say if you were just getting out of jail, they would sort of train you on what to do. They would help you with your finances. Because like I said, I had a checking account, but it had bounced like 1,000 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
back home in Alabama. So, I couldn't get a checking account. I couldn't do any of that. They helped you with all that kind of stuff. They gave you jobs. I got a job doing something. I cannot remember.
Wow. Okay.
I like there was a department store called the Broadway, right? Okay, it was a department store. It was a department store, and then I worked at a UPS in Vernon for Whack and Hut Security.
Okay.
I never gave them their jacket back.
Oh, wow.
So
Confessions galore.
I know.
Just a criminal, I tell you.
When you get a job through Chrysalis, they help you get into this program called the Weingart Center, which is like on 5th and San Pedro, something like that. Get a room and they sort of help you out. Chrysalis sort of gives you a suit and all that kind of stuff. You need haircuts, whatever you need, they sort of help you with that. They give you food if you need it. You sort of give like maybe 80% of your check and they'll hold on to it for like 3 or 4 months. And then you'll go and stay in one of the SROs if you're lucky. So that's what I did. And from there I went to there, and then I sort of was friends with one of the managers there, and then I stopped doing that. Then I started being like an assistant manager there. And then sort of at the time, I knew the guy, I was sort of messing around with this guy that was modeling. And because I was skinny, and then people were like, oh, you can't just be skinny in LA, you got to work out. I'm like, what? Are you serious? I was like, oh yeah, you got to work out. You can't be skinny here. They don't, this is not like Alabama, no. You just can't be a little stick. I'm like, God, I was like, with weights? It's like, yes. So that's how, met him, and so that's how I sort of started doing the modeling through them, and then, the rest is kind of, I just sort of moved up from there. But, yeah, I mean, the thing is that you can really get stuck in that loop of just...
So it's cool, it's weird, so it was like the people that you familiarized yourself with, they gave you a nudge and they were like, hey, dude, you gotta...
Yeah, because even I still lived in Skid Row, even though I was working, you were still sort of seeing some of the stuff. Because, a lot of people a lot of people on drugs were really, really bad. I mean, that crack. Mm-hmm. That crack will. And I saw it, I remember this
and you
one
were like,
guy.
I don't want to go there.
I didn't want to go there because I remember this one guy I knew, and he was a cool guy, but he would, he was like in the alley one time, and there was like, he thought it was crack, and he's putting it in his mouth to taste, and it was bird shit.
Oh.
And good looking guy, Jesus Christ, good looking guy. I mean, not that an ugly person should do it, but I'm just saying, if you just saw him,
Clarify that.
like it's okay for an ugly person to do it. Well, I'm just like, just like, but if you would see him, how you're just like, dude, really? And then like how women would just, either they would destroy a man to get the drugs, or they're destroyed, It was just,
What do you mean they would destroy a man?
I think they called them strawberries at the time.
Oh, you mean?
The women. And, because usually what would happen, either when you have your GR, you get your GR from the 1st to the 15th of each month. Mm-hmm. And so you get your little GR, and you get it in, different people get it in different cycles. But it's from the 1st to the 15th. And if anyone they know when, if you were let's say if you were a guy, and you were my target, I knew on the 3rd, your ass got your GR. So on the 3rd, I would take my bath for the month.
Not for the month.
Get my hair all cute, and I would wait for you. I would wait for you to come out of that check cashing place. And I'll be like, I'll have my drug person there to get the drugs from. I would give you, because like I said, for 3 weeks, you've been without any sex, pretty much. Because your ass ain't got no money, you ain't got no drugs, so you ain't getting shit. You ain't getting nothing. So you are as horny as hell, and I am there waiting for you. And God help if any other heifer thinks they are coming for you. And I would, and I would just pretty much we'll go and smoke ourselves to death in one of the, like the Roslyn or something like that. And till you're out of money,
Till the next cycle.
till the next cycle.
Or both. Is that hyperbole? Platitudes?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because there used to be this guy that he lived down there, and this real famous band, every time they would go on tour in the summer, they would come down there, dust him off, get him, because he played like Hendrix, and he would be like in the background band, and he would go on tour with them, and he would go back to Skid Row, and he would have like maybe $20,000-$30,000, and those.
Wait, rewind. There was a band member who was homeless?
Yeah, he was like a musician.
Okay.
For a very, very popular band, really popular. And every time the band would go on tour, they would go and get him. Because, I mean, the man played
really
like
good.
Hendrix. I mean, when he was not high or whatever, the man was spectacular. And they would use him in the band for the tour. You know, they would
Make him wait until the tour was over.
they would spray him down.
They would spray him down.
You know, get them all up and stuff, inject whatever they needed to inject. Rich people did, you know, to
Yeah.
get get you going.
Yeah, just enough to get him going, but
Going.
not too much. So
Not
he
too
was
much.
Strung out.
And he would go on tour. So when the tour was over,
He'd have all this.
yeah,
money.
and they're paying him under the table, you know, and stuff,
Okay.
probably, I guess. But he would have like $20,000-$30,000, and then
And
he would go right back to
Skid
Skid
Row and
Row, and those heifers would pounce.
Of course.
They would pounce,
Yeah.
and he wouldn't have anything because he would come back. He would look all good and stuff, giving you some.
And he must have.
Yeah.
He must have enjoyed that too. He must
Yeah.
have.
Well, yeah, I mean, he
Yeah.
loved it. You know, I mean, because we was on tour, he was
Because
getting
he
all
could
the
have used
sets
that
he
money
wanted,
to get
and
himself together, but you know,
yeah,
he wanted to be a big fish in a little pond, I guess.
yeah.
That's
It was
interesting. And then his money will be gone in a snap. Yeah.
before you knew what happened.
Do you know if he's still alive or anything about him?
I don't know. I'm not really sure what happened to him. I know there used to be a little girl, a white girl that used to be down there all the time. Her father would pull up, meet her on one of the side streets, pull up in the limo, and give her money and drive off. It was just nothing he could like do for her.
That's sad.
And someone ended up killing her. Usually she had a protection down there because you know she would just pay someone to protect her, and that was fine. But after a while, someone just killed her, and she was messed up in the head. It had fried the hell out of her brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
don't they have like drug-induced schizophrenia and stuff like that too? That doesn't help, right?
Yeah.
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 Especially you see that more with like meth, heroin, and a lot of people will self-medicate. I mean, a lot of these mental health they're undiagnosed, and they, you know, hear voices, and the meth will calm the voices down for a little bit, and then of course, once the meth wears off, they come back louder, stronger, so then you have to do more meth, and it's just this cycle of self-medication.
I didn't know meth had I don't know if it was possible for meth to have any kind of calming effect.
For some it does, and for others they're like, no, I know the meth just further activates it, like as soon as I get that hit. But for some, I've heard from them, it actually does calm down the voices.
I remember
I mean, it
when
makes sense. I mean, because
Yeah.
we all can be stuck in a rut. I mean,
yeah.
I oddly, it made me think about my own situation. I mean, I've never been homeless, but it made me think about like how you can easily just get stuck.
Well,
in
yeah,
a
I mean,
rut.
easily. I mean, you know, you can lose your job, and
Yeah.
next thing you know, you're still out of a job a year later. You know, even though you have a house and everything, and you're just on the couch. You know,
Yeah.
you're caught up with Days of Our Lives. You're like, I can tell you everything that's going on with Bo and Hope. You know,
Right.
but
Yeah.
but other than that, I'm shy by nature anyway, and I sort of had kind of a low self-esteem anyway, and it just broke it down to nothing. Because I remember I couldn't walk into like a hotel. I couldn't walk into certain places without holding my head down, and it just took a lot for me to get my what's the word? My confidence back up. Because I was always thinking people were looking at me as being the homeless person and all. So that took a little while. And I remember when I started dating, I guess I can say his name, Mitch. He had money, and it was effing with my head because I was still living in Skid Row at the time,
You were shy and, low self-esteem, but then you also were proud in your own way. Right?
But it was messing with my head because he had money, so he would take me to these places that had money, and then I would go back to Skid Row.
Oh, he didn't know?
He kind of, he knew. Yeah, he knew. And I wouldn't, because I've always sort of been, I never wanted to be that kept person. He wouldn't know.
That's what I mean. That's right. I'm not saying that.
In hindsight, don't get me wrong. I would take a nice little, countryside ride, But I sort of wanted to do my own thing because one, I had just seen how other people were sort of treated from there. Because people would just treat some of those people like crap,
Yeah.
And the women, Jesus Christ, just what they would do to the women, it was just criminal sometimes. It was just nothing that they could do. And then the gays would sort of fall next in line, and then how they would sort of
this exploitation,
exploitation of the whole
time.
thing. Oh yeah, because I remember when they were had me at a pool party one time, and I was just there. They were like, no, just stand up, look over there, do what they say. If you don't, you're in trouble. Okay. And I can just imagine if I was an addict, or unfunctioning alcoholic,
Then you have the whole sex trafficking thing.
Well, yeah, because even back then it was exploited even to the 10th power, more so. This is in the 90s. Me Too just started 2 years ago.
Yeah, I hear about it a lot now, but I'm guessing it's always been around. Of course, I'm wondering if it's gotten better or worse. Probably worse.
A predator is always going to be a predator. You'll just find another way around it. You had pedophiles, and I'm not comparing these people to pedophiles, but you had pedophilia, then you had the internet,
right?
And then they were just preying on people left and right. Parents and stuff found out about it, so you started sort of getting, putting firewalls up, in a sense to protect your kid. And they just find a way around that. Do this, or they act like they're this. They open up another account, or they, predator's going to find a way to get to you. That's just the way that I think they will always sort of work. And if they any type of vulnerability, people will, just in general, people will pounce on it. Got out of there. Had to do some therapy though. Oh, I had to do some therapy.
Yeah.
I had to.
So to help you transition, or.
Well, just for me, one of my few problems is I'm one of those people that sort of brush stuff under the rug. So, when everyone goes through hell. So, but most people, when they go through it, you deal with it, you make a mental note, okay, I don't want to do that shit again. You pat yourself on the back that you got through it, and you go away. I would go through it, and I would just brush it under the rug. So as life happens to you, obviously you're going to go through more shit.
Yeah,
it just sort of,
compound.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden we're at the dinner table and you say Tony, and I'm like, God damn it, leave me alone. What is it? I just go off, and you look at me, you're like, I just wanted you to pass me the salt. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Here you are.
Here you go.
Sorry, girl. Y'all are like, what in the hell?
Yeah.
So that's how I sort of dealt with it. So that's why I had to.
A year on the streets. It's gotta.
And then almost 2 years and 3 years in Skid Row. It was a little over a year in the streets, and then Skid Row for 3 years. Because even when I moved here, I thought I was going to lose this place, so I kept my place in Skid Row.
Wow.
Oh, okay, yeah, because you're talking about the location. You had a place to stay, but you were in the Skid. Oh, just being in that environment.
Yeah, I was still in.
You had a roof over your head, and still takes its toll on you.
Yeah, you still have to walk through.
You still have to walk through because people would throw stuff out of the windows and stuff. It was, it was still there. But and you just hear what people would go through. It's just like, Jesus Christ, how the hell did you get through that shit? Yeah. So everyone has a story, and you would just sort of hear some of people's stories and how they would sort of come out on the other side. Especially, a lot of actors, they would come out here with nothing, and they wouldn't have anything because they're like, look, I'm very educated, but I can't get that corporate job because I need to go to this audition. So something is, you're going to pay a price somewhere. So it's that balance, I think, of them doing it. And then, like I said, you had a lot of there's a lot of veterans
Yeah.
Mhm.
down there. It was a lot of veterans down there. That
I
was
used
just
to
amazing.
work at a nonprofit shelter for homeless veterans. I mean, I didn't get that much one-on-one interaction with them, but we did have, case managers, mental health programs and stuff like that. Yeah, detox facilities and things like that for them and everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the solution is. I mean, because like I said, a lot of people want to be homeless. Because like I said, I will say it's not a silver lining to it, but you don't have any responsibilities.
Yeah.
You are not responsible for a damn thing. You're barely even responsible for yourself
Yeah, I
because
think
you
I
just
saw some documentary
you
where
can just
yeah,
let
like, there
you
was
just
some,
let yourself
there
go.
was like
Yeah.
some
You know.
homeless people who were like, I prefer to just be free.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have
not
to
have to
answer
be-
to a damn person, and that's a little intoxicating too.
Yeah.
Like I said, you don't have to. You can let yourself go. You don't have to, do this. You don't have to do that. People don't care what you look like. They expect the worst out of you, so you don't. You can even act the worst if you want,
Right.
and people will still say, "Oh well, that's how he's gonna do." You don't have to be this fake person. You don't have to take shit from people. Usually the cops. I mean, they do what they can, but they're like, "Look, as long as I don't see you coming down with the knife."
Yeah.
Doing the hell you want to do. So you don't have responsibilities. You don't have to pay for shit. You don't have to feed yourself. Other people feed you. You clothe yourself. Other people give you clothes. You don't have to pay for anything. You don't have to follow a rule, which what we all now in society, we have to do. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't care if you're the CEO of a
Right.
company. You have to follow. You are answering to somebody. There you don't. So I think that's one of the things that's intoxicating about it also.
Yeah, I've heard it described as like just being off the grid. Like I don't have a cell phone. I don't have to answer to anybody. I'm free. I'm a nomad. I can go wherever I want to. I can explore the different parts of the United States and whenever I want to on my own time. And again, the better areas, the Starbucks will feed you, or like the donut, they'll have donuts
Really?
out. Yeah, in Orange County,
The Starbucks
the
feed.
Starbucks they'll put out there. It's like a little I'll say it's kind of like a drum circle, and they'll put out coffee, and then some of the other residents they'll come in, they'll bring donuts out for the homeless. And I've specifically heard this described by a couple of clients I've encountered, and they're like, it's great. Like, it's nice weather, and I don't, I get coffee, I get donuts, I'm okay.
I saw, interestingly, on my way here, I saw what appeared to be a homeless couple. They were hitchhiking to Arizona. They were like right before you get to the 10, and they were like heading to Arizona, and then they had the hitchhiking thumb up. And I said, who the heck hitchhikes in 2019?
I said the same thing yesterday. Right off the 10, I saw someone with their thumb up, and I said, it is 2019. Who hitchhikes?
Who hitchhikes and who picks up and who picks them up? Yeah.
Like, no.
I have never hitchhiked, I don't think.
Odd story. One time, I actually picked one up. This was back when I was living in Maryland. And it was just random. She was just like this old African lady, and she was like begging me. She was like, I need to ride you to Metro. Please, please, please. I don't know if she was homeless, but she looked like she had been going through a lot. And I was like, I don't know you. She's like, please. And so I'm alive to tell the story, so
Right.
I took a chance. But it's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, hitchhiking but they were a couple, so I guess they had that, sense of safety to having each other, but still. I mean, who would pick them up? But people do it.
I remember.
Of course you did.
Oh, you know what? Let me take that lie back.
Oh God, here it comes.
I did hitchhike one time. I was in Pasadena, and I had lost my bus pass, still on the streets, and I was trying to get back to Hollywood, or like downtown or whatever. And this guy picked me up. And so this fool starts, he's a cool guy. I don't know what in the hell happened. I don't know if it was the elevation. I don't know what in the hell was happening. He turned into the Son of Sam like that. he started saying what he was going to do, what he liked to do to other people. There's just all
Like
this.
sexually or sadistically? Like,
It was almost a sadistic sexuality to it. It was just what he wanted to do and how he wanted to do it, and just like some people won't survive this, and I'm looking, and then I'm just like, okay, calm down. I reached for the door, and he had the door handle. He removed the door handle where you can't open it on the inside.
Oh my God.
That's where I almost lost it. I was like, okay. In my mind, I was like, okay, Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman. Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman. That wasn't working. I was like, Linda Hamilton, Terminator 2. Linda Hamilton, Terminator 2. I need to tap into something. I was like, okay. Ooh, Angela Bassett, Stranger Days, something. Ooh, give me something. So I am an Amazon. I was just freaking the hell out. And we hit traffic when we were kind of downtown. You know when those roads are kind of all like that. You can go this way, or that way downtown. Yeah. And we hit that. And I looked, and I was able to get my hand out the window. And I told him, I was like, oh my God, it's so hot. And so I went over and I started manipulating him in a certain area to get him. I was like, oh, it's hotter. I was like, can you let the window down a little bit? And it was working with him, because when he was talking about what he was going to do, I was acting like I was into it. And we was into traffic. And it was enough for me. I'm not double jointed by any chance, but when I was really younger, I could just I was just like really, and then you can see my damn arms. I'm like, just the long handle of gaze, just grab. And so when we were there, I was like, okay. I saw this, I call it my comic books. I said, okay, this woman did this in the comic book. I hope to God this works. So I did my hand back and I hit him in the throat. It didn't quite hit him like I needed to. He had a little throat. He had a little neck. So it didn't quite do what I needed it to do. But then I hit him in the nuts. I simultaneously reaching my hand in the thing and opening the car door, jumping out of the thing and running like a scene when Angela Bassett did it when she was Tina Turner in What's Love Got to Do It. You know when that bitch was running from Ike? You know how fast that heifer was running in that scene? I was doing some shit like that. And he's screaming, and I'm just running, and I disappear in downtown. I become a child of the night. I disappear in downtown. I disappear. So that was, I lied. I did hitchhike one time. I guess I suppressed that part,
I'm sure you blocked a lot of shit out. So that was, oh my goodness. So that was the first and last time you tried it?
Yes. Oh yes. What is it? Insanity? What is it? What did they say? You keep doing something?
Oh, like repeating the same thing
and expecting a different result.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna test that. You know what they say? God always takes care of babies and fools. And my ass was turning 23 or 24, so I was no baby. So I was like, I can't be pressing my damn luck here. Kind of, the Lord protecting me, except for the time I got really hurt. But still could have been up in the river. Damn, LA River, no damn river. But anyway, so yeah, I wasn't going to press my luck on that one. I was like, I learned my lesson.
Wow.
So I don't hitchhike anymore.
Yeah.
I don't do it. Don't do it.
No.
Scattered in the foothills. I was like, can you imagine that? I was like, I will be damned.
No. Oh my god.
Yeah, I can't have no crap.
So
like
was
that.
Sam cursing you out as you were escaping?
I don't know what he
You
was.
don't know what he
now.
was doing. You were too
I don't know
distracted.
what he
Yeah.
was, but I did. I mean, people were like, "Did you go tell the police?" No, I didn't tell no police. Child, I'm in that damn alley over there on California, shivering, and they're like, "Oh, Jesus," you know. Oh Lord, I swear to God, I'm gonna go straight. I swear to God, I'm gonna go straight. Don't no straight person go through this. Don't no straight person go through this. Oh Lord, maybe it's true what they say. Maybe it's true what they say. Oh, the scripture was right. You know. I was like, oh Lord Jesus. I was like, oh, this kid out of me. I was like, oh hell no. Oh, you just gonna hurt him. You'll be, God, child. White guy, of course. White guy, of course.
You know.
Crazy. Why the hell I even date them sometimes? That's what I get. I know all white people ain't serial killers, so I mean, don't y'all send me anything. But I'm just saying, the three that I've known, they just were not the most sane. Yes. One of them, yes. That'll be a story for another time.
Mm.
So this is probably maybe part one of
Homelessness.
the homelessness, since it's such a large
Yeah.
thing. So I apologize for telling my story. So the next time I will not be talking about myself.
There's nothing. No, your story was quite fascinating, Nasty T.
Oh well.
Next time, I promise I'll be prepared with my statistics.
Alabama.
Arkansas.
Oh my God. I'm like, where's New York? Oh, it's not on here.
Because
What?
Because there's so much that needs to be discussed. Like, this is a really huge topic, I think. So.
And no, I know we're laughing a lot, but you know, laughter sort of helps the pain
Yeah.
at times.
Yeah.
But we'll probably have another part to it, part two. So even probably with Brittany Badass, because I'm sure she has a perspective from New York.
Oh yeah.
Concrete jungle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So until next time, this is Nasty T
Hot chocolate.
Lindsay.
signing off.